Good evening. The Chancellor today unveiled big tax rises and major spending cuts in what was a budget in all but name. Jeremy Hunt said his measures will tackle the cost of living crisis and rebuild the economy, badly damaged, of course, by his predecessor, Kwasi Kwarteng. He was upbeat, but even he couldn't hide the truly grim economic reality. Household disposable income is set to fall by the biggest amount on record, effectively turning the clock right back to 2013. Inflation will stay at 40-year highs well into next year. Unemployment will jump by 500,000 and house prices fall almost 10%. Now, Labour said the country is paying for 12 years of Conservative chaos, 12 years of Tory government failure. In a moment, what all of this could mean for you. But first, here's our Deputy Political Editor, Anushka Astana, on the Chancellor's difficult decisions and reaction to it.
Jeremy Hunt emerged alone, holding not a red box but a green book, a document that promised years of pain because he argued he was boxed in by darkening economic times.
The Chancellor of the Exchequer to make a statement. Jeremy Hunt!
He began with grim news from the Office for Budget Responsibility.
The UK, like other countries, is now in recession.
A recession that will lead to the biggest fall in living standards on record, a backdrop that explains why Jeremy Hunt kept saying two words.
Yes, we take difficult decisions, but it means taking difficult decisions. We're also taking difficult decisions. We do have to take difficult decisions.
He repeated the phrase 9 times in total, but he insisted this.
We also protect the vulnerable, because to be British is to be compassionate, and this is a compassionate Conservative government.
But despite the odd cheer, the Conservative backbenchers, and even some on the front bench, seemed unusually subdued as the Chancellor listed £25 billion in tax rises. Among them, lowering the threshold at which the highest earners start paying the 45p tax rate from £150,000 to £125,000, freezing thresholds for income tax and national insurance for an extra 2 years until April 2028, and allowing local authorities to raise council tax by 5% without holding a referendum. However unconservative this felt, Mr Hunt said it was necessary, blaming global events, but with a little poke at the man who stood here before him.
I understand the motivation of my predecessor's mini-budget, and he was correct. He was correct to identify growth as a priority. But unfunded tax cuts are as risky as unfunded spending.
The Chancellor said the tax rises would fill just under half of a £55 billion black hole, with the rest coming from less spending. But here's the thing. In 52 minutes, he didn't list a single cut. Instead, he handed out this.
£3.3 billion for the NHS, £4.7 billion for social care.
And this.
We will invest an extra £2.3 billion per annum in our schools.
And of course, this.
We will fulfil our pledge to the country to protect the pensions triple lock.
So pensions will rise in line with inflation, and so will benefits. There will also be cost of living payments from April, £900 for those on means-tested benefits, £300 for pensioners and £150 for those on disability benefits. Mr Hunt is also capping the increase in social rents at 7% and raising the living wage. So where was the spending restraint? Mainly booted into 2025 after an election. However, energy costs are going up for most of us as the price cap rises to £3,000 and a windfall tax on oil and gas companies will rise from 25% to 35%. Plenty of pats for a statement that some felt could have been delivered by a Labour Chancellor, but Rachel Reeves found plenty to attack.
Inflation spiralling, growth plunging, living standards falling. And the problem for the British people is this. This is not a dream. This is the everyday nightmare of Tory Britain.
The Chancellor said he'd help the most vulnerable, but what about those just above the line?
If your modest average earnings, 25, 30, even £40,000 a year, you'll see your energy bills rising, rent and mortgages are on their way up, your earnings probably aren't anywhere near keeping pace with that. This is going to feel really tough.
Tough for voters and politically for the government too.
There are Conservative MPs who lobbied for the education budget to be protected, so they'll be pleased that Jeremy Hunt not only did that, but spent more on schools and on the NHS and on social care. But look, with inflation, these are modest increases. Departments will still have to find efficiencies, and there are plenty on the Conservative backbenches who wanted the opposite. They wanted spending cuts now, and they'll be disappointed that millions are facing higher taxes.
OK, Anushka Astana in Westminster, thank you.